My name is Sherry McDowell. We are touring the Galloway Station, or talking about the Galloway Station Museum and Travel Centre. First thing you can expect from the Galloway Station Museum is a welcome. That's what we're here for. It says it right on the wall in a bunch of different languages, but that's key, is to come in, have a coffee, relax, learn about the area, the present, because we do have the travel center, so there's a lot of information about mostly Edson and area, but also a lot about Alberta. There's always coffee on, which is always free, and after that, if you choose to visit the museum, you can learn about how Edson came to be and how we went from a pretty Wild West pioneer town to a fairly modern West Central Alberta town. Well, we have tremendous artists in the area, and we sell there. That's our preferred way to sell art. Is we sell it on commission, and we've sold some beautiful pieces. But it's everything from coasters to fine art, and pretty much everything in between. First part of the museum, the original side, is a train station. So the Galloway Station Museum is partly Galloway Station. It was moved here in the 70s and opened as a museum in the early 80s. And it stayed that way, closed in the winter for almost 30 years. And then they closed down in 2009, and we received some federal stimulus money, and they sort of made some renovations to the original museum and then opened the newer side. So we went from smaller square footage to, I think we're 10,000 square feet now, and we have a rental space and the travel center and this lovely newer part of the museum. Firstly, we received a donation to create some of the exhibits, so we still have a display fund that helps with the upkeep, so especially for a museum of our size. That's unusual because we are a smaller town. So we are lucky in that way. We've also been very lucky with the exhibits and the artifacts that people have brought in some amazing things, including, of course, the grizzly bears, but also like a lot more taxidermy, this giant magnificent elk. And we keep adding to it. So we have a lot of artifacts downstairs. When we reopened, I think we had about 3,000 artifacts, and now we have over 6,000 artifacts. That's part of the mandate, is bringing the community together. That's our purpose, is to bring people in and welcome to our community and make their journey a little easier. That's truly, if we can spark some interest in the area and local history, that's great. But if we just supply clean washrooms and a friendly attitude, then that's great too. Sometimes people just want a stop that's clean and friendly and no stress, and that's what we aim for. It was very important to the area, so we wanted to showcase just how important it was by creating a smaller version of the trapper's cabin. So there's a buffalo hide and just the normal things that the trappers would bring to the cabin, because they would need it for the season. They didn't want to go back and forth. So the stove is a little fancier than it would be, and there's no door because there has been no animals in here that have come alive since I've been here. Prairie actually went out of commission in 2015, but it was such a big part of the Rosevere area. The ferry went across the McLeod River, and it was the only way to get across for years and years. So it really became a kind of a hub of the community. So when it came out of the water, the latest one came out of the water, Yellowhead County approached us and asked to create a display. So with their help, we talked to ferry operators and descendants of ferry operators. It was probably the best oral history I've ever done. We laughed so hard. Yeah, it's just a lovely place to be able to walk into every day.
What's your favorite section of the museum?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to say the Wilfred May story, the Wap May, who is pretty famous in Alberta. He was involved in a lot of helping missions, and one of them was he was involved in what we think is the first aerial police chase in Canadian history, well before the Mad Trapper of Rat River. In 1919, there was a police officer, wounded, and the chief of police, they found out where this arguably pretty bad fellow was going, and the chief of police said, "Get me a pilot." So Watt May ended up landing in 1919 on First Ave in Edson, and I just can't imagine the shock of the people, because he was quite well known. He was a World War I flying ace and a barnstormer in Edmonton, and so he landed here. We became great friends with his son Denny and Mark, and they made some wonderful donations, and it's just a great way to tell Alberta history through story, and it's just so unique. So we have Watt May Day every day. His nickname was Watt May, obviously, but and we celebrate that. We have old-timey games and pie eating contests, and it's really fun, and it just keeps that memory and that first sort of alive. This is where the bad man was running to, because it was literally in the middle of nowhere, and it was a tremendously large economic driver for Alberta. This area employed a lot of people, and really coal ranchers are a unique, very tough breed, and hold it dear to their hearts now. And most places are now ghost towns, or a lot smaller than they were. So, but a great sort of detour in the summertime to check out. It's very cool. So this is the Watt May display. This is a replica of the plane that actually landed on Main Street in Edson. Not Main, God. That this is a replica of the plane that landed on First Ave in Edson, because I will get in trouble if I say that. But it is a tremendous story of chases, escapes, murder, and very tragic. But Watt May played a big part in being able to bring the fellow to justice. So it's a great story to tell. This is actually part of the plane. The original plane actually crashed in Mayfield in Edmonton, and we actually received this from the Reynolds Museum. They had burnt pieces left over in their shed. So he asked if I wanted them, and I said, yes, please. So this is the Platen Peerless Press, and it is working. It is extremely heavy and was used to print the Edson later. Many years ago, we unhooked the pedal because it's dangerous, but you can see there's a wobble in the wheel. In the 70s, when they were doing posters, the son of Doug Caston, who was the publisher at the time, hooked a motorbike engine up to the wheel, and it went faster, but not for very long, and it snapped actually. So when we received it, it was frozen solid, and Howard, again, the same volunteer, he got this working for us. So we make posters, we've done wedding invitations on this, we do demonstrations for children. It's very messy though, but it's tremendous that it's working. So the clock is actually from a railway station in Brule, and it is a working clock. It's not wild right now. We're still looking for a piece of glass to go in it, but the train station in Brule is actually buried in sand now, so you can't get to it. We have some pictures of the 70s of it had a kind of half buried, but this came from that station house, so that's great.